Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Sandra Thompson, and I am a Deputy Director at the Federal Housing Finance Agency in Washington. And I'd like to welcome all of you to our first in-person HARP outreach event. In March 2009, the Treasury Department and the Federal Housing Finance Agency announced the Home Affordable Refinance Program, otherwise known as HARP. Now, this program is designed to allow a streamlined or shortened process for eligible borrowers whose homes have declined in value. Since the program started, we've completed more than 3.1 million HARP refinances. Nearly 200,000 of those HARP refinances took place right here in Chicago. Those numbers are good, and we're pleased that so many families have been helped, but there's a lot more we can do. There are still nearly 36,000 homeowners in the Chicago area who are eligible for the HARP program. This initiative is so important. Our director is here. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, Mel Watt.
What a wonderful pleasure it is to be here in Chicago. Not accidental that we're in Chicago. Sandra has made it clear why we're here. 36,000 people who are eligible for HARP to save themselves some money right here in the Chicago metropolitan area. These are people who, despite the fact that their homes may be underwater, the mortgage on their home is more than the value of their home, they have continued to pay their mortgages, right? Those are people that we would like to reward. Who do they trust? They trust the people in this room. And if we can deliver the message to them that this is painless, it's not a scam, it doesn't require a bunch of paperwork. We want to get the people who are eligible for HARP. We got to create a relationship with the people who are eligible for other programs who are seriously delinquent in making their mortgage payments. We've got to establish relationships with community groups and others who are trusted in a neighborhood, who know how to help us stabilize that neighborhood. Chicago is our first stop to talk about both the HARP program and the outreach we're doing, the Neighborhood Stabilization Initiative, and our plans to deal with that, because we can set all the policies that we want on a global basis. Loans are not made in Washington on a global basis. Loans are made in communities, and neighborhoods either got to stabilize and get involved in these things, or we are going to fail. And that's really the message that I want to deliver to you. We need your help.
I want to thank you so very much, Director Watt, for being here this morning. He comes as a crusader to help those who are troubled in the area of housing.
Director Watt kind of talked about a spectrum within the housing recovery. People who are current but underwater, people who are delinquent, properties have gone into REO status. And in each of those areas, there's a different intervention or a different strategy. Everyone in this room needs to do a better job to say, we have warned you about those scammers who are out there, but this is a real program that will put money back into your pocket, that will give you money to spend on your kids, on your family, on other things that you need.
In fact, HARP has become a verb now. As you probably see, people talk about things that have been harped, and let's go HARP or I HARP. Here in Chicago alone, Freddie Mac, the Freddie Mac book, we have helped over 80,000 people to get lower payments on their mortgages. But for some reason, these remaining 36,000 are not taking advantage of that opportunity. And one of the things we're asking you, our trusted advisors and our partners, is what's the message do we need to deliver to get them motivated to take advantage of this opportunity?
That there are a whole bunch of resources out in the neighborhoods. There's much interest in neighborhoods to become involved.
There are borrowers that we talked to that said that they had applied and then they were denied.
So if you were denied because of LTV or denied because of your payment history, return for a conversation with your servicer, the person that, or the company that you make your mortgage payment to, or by all means, go to a counselor.
Steve, why don't you talk a little bit about the low interest rate environment, because you raised a good point. Why now? What's the big push?
Yeah, so we have enjoyed historically low interest rates, and that has really allowed people an opportunity to take advantage of HARP. But rates have been, kind of rising. But as rates increase, that opportunity then for people to be able to refinance will go away.
Can you talk how this initiative and other foreclosure prevention alternatives are helpful in moving the recovery forward?
Yeah, absolutely, Sandra. I think HARP has played a critical role in helping the U.S. housing market recover. But then when it was married with other programs that were sponsored by the FHFA and the GSEs around individuals or households that were struggling just making any payment for any given time period because they lost the job or there was a death in the family or there was underemployment, and helped stabilize those households, those two things work together in combination with a number of the programs that the Treasury Department sponsored through HAMP and helped in networking with our private partners to help keep families in their homes.
When will there be a process for the FHFA to donate properties to community groups and community land trusts so that they can put them to use for folks who don't have money to own a home, and so that they can provide housing or expand public and subsidized housing?
Okay. The director spoke earlier about our neighborhood stabilization initiative, and its focus is to look at properties that are owned by both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and then work on appropriate dispositions for the neighborhoods. We have started to work with the National Community Stabilization Trust, and that's a national organization, but what they have committed to do with Fannie and Freddie is to engage local nonprofit organizations who know the community, who know the property, and can come up with an appropriate disposition strategy.
Through our extensive door-knocking outreach program, we have a great concern on how renters are being mistreated in these foreclosed buildings. But we are excited to hear that the NSI is coming to Chicago in the near future, because we feel there are a number of opportunities in Chicago to stabilize occupied foreclosed properties long term.
We care about how people living and residing in homes are treated. In our NSI initiative, we do have certain requirements on disposition and notice, because it's better to have a property that has a family or people in it. They care about the neighborhoods, they care about the upkeep, and it is to our collective interest, the community's interest, to make sure that these families are not displaced.
What is the application process should a HARP eligible homeowner receives a call, receives a letter? What is the process to actually apply?
It's either face-to-face with a loan originator, or it can be done online.
On behalf of FHFA, my panelists from all walks of life, we really appreciate you all taking time out of your schedule to come and listen. We hope that you are able to communicate our message effectively to your homeowners and borrowers in your neighborhood. We appreciate your interest, and hopefully we can get more people HARPed. So thank you again, and we appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.